Hey, good evening, guys. How you guys doing? Hope everybody is well. I have chapter approved, I guess, and I have sprayed my land speeder, so 2 wins today, I guess. But how is everybody today? Did everyone else get chapter approved? I had a flick through the book. You know, the points cost book, it's like I used 1 or 2 pages in there. So the other book was like 55 pages. So basically like £25 for 55 pages. So about 50 pence a page. Great. I think any excitement for new missions has disappeared in the fact that we have to pay 50 pence per page on these books. That's how expensive that they are. And also, I think any excitement I had has disappeared because of the points cost stuff. But good evening, everybody. I noticed that not a single Blood Angels player went 3-0 at the day 1 of the LVO. Not a single player. So why our main things went up in points is beyond me, but whatever. Good evening to Jeremy, Rizio, Marcel, hello. Carl Zork, hi everyone for the blood. I'm not buying chapter approved. I will be getting it through. Yeah, I mean, if there's literally 5 point cost changes, I'll just tell them about on the channel, and you could save yourself £25. Toon doesn't use last year's chapter approved yet. Have the points cost been rolled into the app? Do you know what? I don't really use the app, James, personally, because I think it's crap. I don't think it's easy to find things. I don't think it's easy to build army lists. I mean, I pay the subscription to Warhammer Plus, but like, I literally don't use the app. Because some people might like the app, I really don't think it's very good. Miguel, good evening. How are you doing? So I'm going to start by just throwing some Evil Sun Scarlet over the top of this. I already sprayed it Mephiston red, but I do all my red in Evil Sun, so we are going 1 step brighter, I guess. I usually do 2 coats of Evil Sun on stuff. And some people did say to me last time, they were like, you should have made this on sub-assemblies because getting in behind the drivers will be a nightmare. I guess I know that, and I'll just have to deal with it. However, I guess we'll just have to deal with it the best we can, I guess. Probably just going to paint the top first and then let it dry, and then we'll paint some. I've got some Sanguinary Guard, I've got some Incursors that need some work on them, but so I'm probably going to do that in between this tonight. The app is crap. Good evening, Robert. How you doing? Sunglasses on? Oh, because because I go for Evil Sun. Yeah, I mean it's a bright red. I'll give you that. I just wash stuff rather than edge highlight red, though. I know you can edge highlight red, but I prefer to just wash stuff. I feel like, this is obviously personal opinion, but I feel like Mephiston red is quite a washed out red. I'm not a big fan of it, actually. I don't mind it on like Death Company models, but on like actual just red marines, I prefer going a bit brighter. I think that's probably just because when I started in 2nd edition, everything was super bright, right? If they sold Evil Sun Scarlet as a spray, I would buy it. Has Battlescribe been updated with the new points cost? I don't think so. Battlescribe usually takes a few weeks to update. I think Wikipedia had been updated with a few points cost changes already, because I was on there last night on stream, and so Wikipedia has some new points cost changes. Yeah, I know it would have been easier to sub-assembly this thing in terms of painting, but like, I don't know, I'm not great at doing sub-assemblies. Anytime I've done them, anytime I come to actually stick them together, I always end up wrecking any paint job that I've done, so I just gave up doing sub-assemblies and try and do the best I can with them assembled. I mean, it is more tricky, right? But I just do the best I can. Jeff says I never edge highlight. I like to edge highlight Death Company models. I think it's a good way to get the contrast against the black, but like I don't edge highlight any of my Sanguinary Guard or any of my I guess any model that I paint in gold I don't edge highlight, and any model that I paint in red I don't edge highlight. But I mean, it's all personal preference, right? I've got Army Painter speed paints, and the blood red paint is my new go-to. I've heard good things about Army Painter speed paints. I've heard a few people, oh shit, saying that they are a lot better than the Citadel contrast paints. I never really got into contrast paints myself. I only own one contrast paint, and it's Blood Angel Red, and I occasionally paint it over like gold, like Redemptor Gold, to get sort of like a cool red effect, like a metallic red gold, I guess would be the best way to describe it. But yeah, I never got into contrast paints at all. Again, just far too much of my army is already done one with one paint scheme. I am going to I'm going to try and switch it up midway through, I guess. I was actually having a chat with some people today about the scores of LVO and saying how like there wasn't a single Blood Angels list at the LVO that was like had gone 3-0 in day one, and it was like I think like there was 30 Custodes lists that had gone 3-0, or maybe it was like 15, and someone posted a picture in the Discord. There was like a lot of lists: Custodes, Drukhari, Orcs, like a bunch of factions had like 3-0 day one, but like Blood Angels weren't there, and Marines in general weren't really. There was a few Marines. I think there was like one Space Wolf, one Iron Hands, maybe like one Black Templar. Maybe there was another one, I don't remember now. But like, I was having a conversation with some guys about it, saying like, oh, it kind of sucks to be an exclusive Blood Angel player, and they were like, well, you should just change faction. And I was like, you're kind of missing the point, in my opinion. We shouldn't have to change faction because the balance is so shit. Like, they just shouldn't let the balance get to a point where it's like, oh, this one faction, you know, we've kind of ignored them for a couple of years, and now we're wondering why we're not seeing them at tournaments doing well. A little bit frustrating. But don't worry, I ain't changing my Marines. I mean, for one, I couldn't even start to hope to paint enough of another army, but I was more annoyed at it than anything, that comment, because it was like, well, yeah, I'm just gonna put my 10,000 points of Blood Angels on the back burner and start another army because I can get another army that's ready and competitive in like no time at all, right? Mephiston Red is the only thing named Mephiston that I like. Fair enough. So you don't like Mephiston's 10-point drop, I guess. Did anyone like Mephiston's 10-point drop? Does anyone think they're going to include Mephiston now? I got a couple of... What's your thoughts on the full Tau reveal? I've been pretty busy today, Raziel. Both my kids have the cold, and yeah, it's been quite a difficult day, so I haven't been on Warhammer community much today. What happened? I thought the Tau book was up for... Oh, the Tau book was up for pre-order today, right? So I guess some YouTubers have like covered the whole book now. What is the verdict on the Tau book then? If you've watched the video, tell me. Spiderwing likes Mephiston's point drop. I mean, it's hard to not like a point drop, I guess, but like, does it actually make Mephiston more competitive, I guess is the question. Running Leviathans this week, John. I only actually own one Leviathan Dreadnought. I'm gonna probably be running it though. I think my list is either gonna be one Leviathan and a Contemptor and no Psyker, so that like I don't need Psychic Fortress, or I might go back. Like in September I ran a tournament list and I did well in that tournament as well. I went 4-1, only losing my final game, and that was a double Redemptor list. Now double Redemptors have like a bit of a weakness in that, like, I guess the main weakness for the Redemptor is its plasma's not reliable, right? So having double Redemptor in some ways helps a little bit with that, because you've got a little bit more reliability because you get 2d6 plasma as opposed to 1d6. But if Grey Knights and Thousand Suns aren't so strong anymore, and Custodies are pushing ahead with like they are going to be the next big chapter to beat, then there has to be something to be said about Null Zone. I mean, when I used to beat Custodes every week, or every time I played them rather, I had Null Zone. And Null Zone is a huge deal against them if you get, you know, if you get units in the Assault Doctrine and you're hitting those bikes with like -3 and -4, they suddenly start to die very, very quickly when you hit the bikes with -4 and they get no invulnerable save. So yeah, it's something I'm thinking about. I mean, I ran the Firstborn Librarian for a very long time. I won a lot of games with him in my list. The only faction that I had some problems with was Grey Knights. But I mean, part of the problem I had with Grey Knights is I had no experience playing against them. So playing them at the top table of a tournament, having like literally no experience playing against them, was never going to be ideal. So I mean, maybe my list wasn't as bad as I gave it credit for. Like maybe I just played shit, and I mean I definitely did play shit in that game. I was nervous because I was at the top table, and you know, if I won the game, I won the entire GT. I haven't won a GT ever, period. And it was sort of like the furthest ahead, or the best performance I've had since I came back to the hobby, I guess. And it would be nice to win a GT, because then at least I can come on here and like I feel like, you know, there's still some people that say, you know, I still get comments where people don't think that I'm any good at Blood Angels, and I mean normally it's like you can shake that off, right? Like if someone says like, hey, you suck, and you're like, yeah, okay, whatever, you know, like it doesn't really bother me. Like I don't get upset if someone wants to say like, you know, you played that game badly, or you suck at Warhammer or whatever, you know, it's fine, it doesn't bother me. But it would be nice to just say like, well, you know what, yeah, you can say I suck, but you know, I won that GT last month, so I mean, I can't suck that bad, right? So, yeah, it's just is what it is. I've tried Blood Angels Red Contrast. First attempt was so bad that I had to go over it with Evil Sun to fix it. Haven't tried it again yet. Yeah, I mean, the Blood Angels Contrast paint, I don't know if it's that strong for Marines. I guess it works better with like models that have a lot of fleshy parts and stuff. Like, it doesn't. Contrast paint isn't good for like panels, like shoulder pads of a Primaris Marine or a Firstborn Marine or anything like that. Anything that's flat, contrast paint isn't good for. So Marines have a lot of flat bits on their armor. You know, their legs, their arms, their shoulders, it's all flat. So yeah, contrast isn't hugely beneficial for Marines, I feel like, unless you just want to go battle ready and you don't care too much how they look, right? Null Zone is rising in value again for sure, says Reziel. And I mean, I still think I think that's like it's a pretty good list, right? If you just go Chief Librarian with Psychic Fortress, Null Zone, and Might of Heroes, because there's 3 things you can do there, and I've done it in a bunch of games, right? Does the Storm Cannon get extra value into Custodes? On the Leviathan, I mean, not overly, because it's just -1, I guess. I mean, the strength is nice, but -1, they're probably normally just going to save it on a 3-up, so even if you get 8 shots and hit and wound all 8 times, only like 5 are going through, so realistically only like 3 or 4 are going through, right? I hate the Blood Angels Librarians are stuck with a Sanguinary Discipline. Yeah, I mean, that's why you run the Firstborn one and you give them a jump pack. But yeah, so like, when I was running that list, what you can do is turn 1, turn 2, turn 3, whatever, you cast Psychic Fortress, you keep your Redemptors alive. If they target one of the Redemptors and start bringing it down, then you cast Mighty Heroes on it to put it to toughness 8, which basically just makes it harder. Like, you know, if they're shooting you, it lowers their chance to wound by about 16%, especially against stuff like Dark Lances from Drukhari, or Entropy Cannons for Plague War Scrawlers, that sort of stuff. You just lower their chance. Mighty Heroes is quite good, especially, and then later in the game you can jump forward and cast Null Zone, and even when you jump forward and cast Null Zone, you can then put Mighty Heroes on one of the Dreads still, because you've got, like, I think it's 12-inch range on Mighty Heroes. It's been a little while since I played that build now, I'm sure it's 12. And if not, you can always have the Librarian Might of Heroes himself to put him to toughness 5, give him a little bit more survivability. Or your Chapter Master as well, if you're running that same build as I have, where you have the Chapter Master on the bike, why not give him one extra attack? Or, I mean, I guess you could do it with the Chaplain on a bike as well. Why not give him one extra attack and give him toughness 6, I guess. Sadly, Marines basically only look good edge highlighted or maybe airbrushed, or very cleverly dry brushed. Well, see, Podgar, I do all my Marines with recess washing, and I think my Marines look just fine. Can you put chat on screen? Yeah, I'm sorry. Good evening, Steel Rain, how you doing? What red am I using for this? This is Evil Sun Scarlet, and I know it's a lot brighter than what most people would put on for base coats, but I basically panel wash / pin wash my models with Agrax Earthshade, so that basically, in some ways it's kind of similar to edge highlighting. I can just do it a bit quicker because I don't need to be quite as accurate. So yeah, Evil Sun Scarlet is the red I use. I usually, like, I sprayed this guy Mephiston red. I actually sprayed him white first, so I mean, that's probably an unnecessary step, but I had some white lying around. And do you know what, the weather was so shit today, I wasn't sure I was going to be able to spray him. So because I sprayed him on the edge of my house, and the edge of my house is white, so I figured if I got white on the walls of my house, it wouldn't matter. So I started by just spraying him white, in case I didn't get time to spray him red or the weather turned. Alright, I'm gonna have to get a picture of a land speeder up, because I actually have no idea. I've never painted one of these things. No love for Lamartas despite the Death Company points drop. I think if you're going to run a Chaplain, you should run Astaroth, because Astaroth makes the Death Company immune to morale, right? Whereas Lamartas, what does he do? He gives them like +2 to morale or something, and lets them reroll their charge. Waiting for a 130 game for poke roll before you ask. I'm with the Americans and the only Brit in the group. Well, good luck in your game at 130. Master of Sanctity should really come with Wiserator. Yeah, it should, and do you know what, that's another disadvantage of Lamartas, I guess, right? Because with Lamartas, his litanies only affect Death Company. Like, you can't even put them up on other models. So in some ways, that's kind of a big disadvantage, right? You know, your Death Company might always be alive, and then if they're not alive, what, his litanies become no value? Kind of sucks. Excuse me. Thank you for checking out the tier list video as well yesterday, guys. That is going to be, like, that video got a lot of views yesterday. That was pretty cool. Not quite the best video on the channel, but did well. I would have liked to have more content to dive into, honestly. It felt like It definitely felt like the point stuff for chapter approved wasn't enough. I'm probably going to make a video about missions and secondaries on chapter approved in the next few weeks. I don't exactly know how that's going to look or what my focus is going to be, but I am going to be playing Monday night again, so I'm going to be playing with the new missions again, so I guess we'll see how we get on and we'll make a call on what like what I think is going to be most valuable. I mean, it's probably going to be some discussion on the new missions for sure, right? Because like there's a lot of changes to missions and secondaries, but also yeah, I think I'm going to try and break the videos down so they're not giant sprawling videos that cover millions of points, like a little bit more focused. And also, you know, like I said before a couple of times, that I think that we're going to see more battalions now with the new changes. So I probably want to dive in and see like what's going to look like a really strong list now that with all these new changes and stuff, because the goalposts have definitely moved a little bit. The points in chapter approved suck, says Regaso. Yeah, I mean, they weren't the best, were they? I was expecting warm socks, instead they were wet and cold. Yeah, I mean, a lot of us were expecting... I wasn't expecting too much. I mean, last year when we got, like, all the stuff that we had that was any good whatsoever get nerfed. Like, last year it was like attack bikes went up, Sanguinary Guard went up, or Priest went up. Like when all that happened last year, I guess, like made me kind of think that I wouldn't, like, best not to expect too much this year, I guess. But yeah, no, I did flick through the book this morning and look at like the Predator tank and just went, yep. Because the video I made a few weeks back was like a joke. Like I was like, the Predator tank is so fucking bad for the points it costs right now. Do you think we'll maybe see anything? And like I made this sort of joke video about like how bad the Predator tank is, and like I opened the book and like flicked through to the Predator tank and went like, yep, they didn't change it at all. It's absolutely trash. Yep, they didn't change the Battle Predator at all, or the Predator Destructor or whatever it was. It makes zero sense. These are units that get zero play in any sort of competitive game, or I'd almost argue any game at the moment. Like no one's fielded Predators in 9th edition, like ever. Like we all just looked at their costs and went like, yeah, okay, they're way over costed, and then that was it. Like no one looked at them again. It feels like Games Workshop didn't look at them either. Will we now wait for the February data slate changes? I don't think anything is going to change in the February data slate, Willis. I think that there's a rumor on the board that there's going to be a Space Marine 2.0 Codex, and that's where this Gravis fighting style rule came into play, I guess. I think the data slates are going to be more about dealing with things that are like overpowered and broken. I'd be really surprised if we see any Blood Angels point cost changes in the data slate. I mean, they've had a year, literally they've had a year to look at the points costs for chapter approved. I mean, I don't know why they haven't. Like it's kind of mind-boggling why they just sat and just went like, yeah, those point costs are fine. But that's what they've done, so I only expect the points cost to be either changing in like this rumored Space Marine 2.0 book, which I know nothing about except a couple of rumors I've heard from various sources, but none of which I can really confirm 100%. And yeah, I honestly think that that's the only time the points costs are going to change. They're not going to change in the data slates, and the stuff they're going to change in the data slate points cost wise is going to be after a new codex comes out and it's super overpowered, which seems to be every codex. So maybe, like, for example, the Custodes codex, they'll put those bikers up like 10 points or something. I think those bikers could easily go up 10 points. Yeah, Blood Angels normally have blonde hair in the lore, don't they? I mean, Astaroth's kind of like... he's been through some shit, so maybe his hair was blonde. Maybe it's gone like black through stress or something. He has the stress of like every Death Company brother he has to deal with, right? And at the same time, he has to not fall to the Death Company. Dolthar, good evening. Thank you for finally making it to a stream. I hope you are well. Nice to see you. I'm not sure we've met, but appreciate you coming in, hanging out. How are you? JT Money is a new player. Thanks, brother. Doing all the content has helped me so much. You're very welcome, JT. Thank you for the kind words. I'm still waiting for the day that I actually meet one of you guys at a tournament. Like Blood Angels versus Blood Angels. The last time I was at a tournament in Stirling this year, and one of the guys like came up to me and was like, "Hey, Blood Angels Commander, how you doing?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm good, man. How are you?" And he's like, "I am playing Knights and Knights and Admech at this tournament, but I'm going to like another tournament in like a few weeks' time with the Blood Angels. Could you have a look at my list just now?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, sure, man, no problem." It was kind of funny, but I haven't actually played anyone yet that's watched the channel like in tournament be like, "Hey, I watched your video on like your army list, and now we have to play each other." When that happens, that'll be kind of interesting. I think Death Company with Infernal Pistols is actually a good call now with the points reductions. So how are you going to run the Death Company? Like just chainswords, Infernal Pistols, lots of Infernal Pistols, Infernal Pistol Thunderhammers? Like what's the plan here, Steel Rain? And like how are you playing them? Like are you Forlong Furying a bunch of Death Company with Infernal Pistols with like some Chapter Master rerolls, or I mean, I guess a Death Company Marine with an Infernal Pistol is only 27 points now. So... is that right? 27? Yeah, I think so. Jump back an Infernal Pistol, rather. 27 points, right? You better watch out, though. Anything that you come up with is good. Games Workshop will be on. They'll be ready to nerf it. That's what it feels like at the moment, being Blood Angels, I swear. Don't think the Custodes will drop, since Tau seemed to be a counter to them, kind of hard to balance the top tables. Are Tau going to be a counter to Custodes? Reziel, you watched the video on Tau today. Are Custodes going to counter Tau? Or sorry, what did I say? Custodes going to are Tau going to counter Custodes? I don't know. I mean, those bikes are horrendous. Those bikes will kill anything. 2 squads of those bikes is just like, yeah, that's actually kind of horrendous how strong that is. Power Fist and Infernal Pistols for shits or giggles. I mean, Power Fist and Infernal Pistols is good. I mean, it's similar points to the Thunderhammers, and it can be a bit more swingy. I think it's 100,000 subscribers you need to get a channel plaque. James, unfortunately. I don't think I'm ever going to get to 100,000 subscribers. I'm like confident I won't get there. But regardless, it will be nice to have 9,000 subscribers. We are the 9th Legion. If you hadn't... I mentioned it a couple of times in passing. In one of the streams a few weeks ago, Brent, Brent's a weird cookie, right? He's not a channel member, but every time it's his birthday, he sends money to me to do giveaways on the channel. And I was like, Brent, you could become a channel member and like hang out in the members room and stuff like that. And he's like, no, I don't want to. I'm just going to send you some money to do giveaways. So I was like, all right, whatever. That's nice of you, right? Or that's nice of him, right? So my plan this year was like, he sent me like $100, but like, of course, taxes, PayPal fees, whatever, it turns into like $94 when it actually comes to me. What I was thinking was Rallydorn, and if you guys don't know who Rallydorn is, you probably should. He is the first chapter master of the Blood Angels. Like, chapter master, like, not the chapter master before Dante, like the first chapter master. So like, probably like, I don't know, I think there's probably been about 5 chapter masters of the Blood Angels. Someone could correct me. I think, I don't actually know if they've said precisely how many chapter masters there have been. I would reckon it's probably about 5. Rallydorn was the first. So at 9,000 subscribers, I'm gonna do an extra video one week. I'm just really struggling for time to make videos at the moment, what with the 2 kids. But I want to do a video where we do a giveaway / painting competition. And the painting competition will be... Am I saying it wrong? Yeah, that's how you spell it. Rallydorn? Is that right? Raldorn. He's a Forge World model, and in the UK he costs $47. So because Brent sent me $100 that became like 94, that means I could buy 2 Rallydorns, and he can be proxied in like 40k. You can run him as like a company champion, you could convert him into a smash captain. He's got a very unique pose. He comes on a display base and stuff like this. Very cool character. So my plan is, I think I'm going to buy 2 of those. The only reason I haven't bought them is because I was planning on buying myself a Contemptor. Was it a Contemptor Chainfist as well at the same time, so I don't have to pay postage on the Contemptor Chainfist. I'll just get the free postage with the 2 Rallydorns. So yeah, I'm going to buy 2 Rallydorns. I'm going to set up some sort of painting competition with some rules, and I guess two people. Probably like one of the Rallydorns will be a so we'll have a painting competition where everybody can enter, and then we'll have a members only painting competition, because I do have we have a lot of members on the channel. All you guys that are members, I mean, it's so appreciated. I'm sure I've told you guys that I'm using an absolute piece of crap PC that's about 8 years old. So my plan in the next month or 2 is to buy a new computer, and I wouldn't be able to do that without the channel members. And it's going to make video editing so much easier. I don't know if it's going to help me at the moment, because the main problem is I just don't have enough time with my 2 kids, but it will help my channel grow in the future with a much better computer. So I'm excited for that. And I think I may also try and grab my hands on like an Astraeus tank, because there we go, Dutster, thank you so much for becoming a member, much appreciated. I may put some of my channel membership money to Astraeus super heavy tank. I'm thinking about it. It went down 75 points. It was the biggest drop in points, I think, in chapter approved. So, and the thing that I like about the Astraeus, because I was looking at it very briefly, right? you can put 2 of the macroplasmas on it that the Redemptor Dreadnoughts gets, right? So you can have Las Rippers or whatever, but the problem with the Las Rippers is they're D6 damage, and like I just don't like weapons that are like swingy like that in terms of like their damage rolls, right? Whereas like macroplasmas, they're good, they're flat 3 damage if you overcharge them. So if you take this Straeus and you overcharge it, so you've got the 2 macroplasmas, that's on average that would give you 7 shots, strength 9 minus 4, 3 damage. So on average 7 shots, you could potentially do like 20 some damage with that. And then it also has the other gun that's like heavy 12, strength 8 minus 2, 3 damage. So that could do another 30 damage. Then you can put a couple of las cannons on it. I actually think the Straeus is better than the Falchion now. Robert, thank you so much for becoming a subscriber. I appreciate it. Are you going to do a Patreon? I've been doing Patreon for a while to Hit to Wound. It's... Do you know what? I probably don't link it anywhere on my Twitch channel. I was trying really hard to get to a point where like I could become an affiliate on Twitch, and if you guys don't know what an affiliate is on Twitch, it basically means that, same as YouTube, like if people watch your videos you get ad revenue. And I spent ages trying to get the viewers on Twitch, and I asked people over here, hey, would you come and join on Twitch and all that sort of stuff, and I did, and I got the email from Twitch saying, Waldo, thank you for subscribing. I got the email from Twitch saying like, hey, you're ready to become an affiliate on Twitch. You know, you get enough views and you get enough watch time that you can become an affiliate. But if you want to become an affiliate, you have to exclusively stream your content on Twitch first for 48 hours. And I was like, well, that doesn't work because, like, you know, I have a huge following on YouTube. I don't want to lose my following on YouTube to try and build a new following on Twitch. So, like, it's kind of weird in my Twitch account. It's just an alert. Like, it's like a notification. It's like, hey, at any point you could become a Twitch affiliate, but like, you have to stream all your content on Twitch first. So I kind of just once I realized that, I was like, okay, that doesn't work for me. So yeah, I've had Patreon for a while, but like you can't do any sort of gifted subs or anything like that on Twitch, I'm afraid, because I guess that's why there was like the whole mess with some of the other big streamers in Twitch, because I guess Twitch have this policy where you have to do your content on Twitch first. Fair enough, it's their platform, it's their rules, right? But yeah, I'm not going to do my content on Twitch first. But yeah, I'll make sure the Patreon link is there over on Twitch at some point. I guess I've been neglecting updating my Twitch page because it seemed pointless because of those rules, I guess. I guess at this moment in time, I just hope some people from Twitch find out about the channel and then come over and check it out on YouTube, you know? Peter says, thanks for the awesome channel. Watched many of your videos. Never heard you talk about the Death Company Captain. What is your thoughts on this? So I ran a Death Company Captain for a while, Peter. I ran him on a bike, and I ran him with Imperium Sword, because that lets him reroll his charge. And I ran him with Teeth of Terra, because that gets you a boatload of attacks and keeps it cheap, because you know, you're just replacing a chainsword as opposed to replacing like a more expensive weapon. And I would reluctantly follow you on Twitch. Are you getting ad revenue? Yeah, I get ad revenue from YouTube. Yeah, 100%. So I get paid from YouTube, and that's why I can't really get paid from Twitch as well, I guess. For anyone that wants to know, I guess, like, for every 1,000 views, I get probably... YouTube tells me it's like $6 to $7, but YouTube take a cut on everything. And it's a significant cut, right? It's like between 30 and 50%. I don't really get why it's so high, but they take a good cut. So, yeah, realistically, for 1,000 views, it's probably more like $3 or $4. Yeah, so the Death Company Captain on a bike, he is a good character. I ran him for a little while. I like you can furlong Furium and then move, so you basically get like a character that can do like a 26-inch turn 1 movement, because you get the 12 inches from the Furlong Fury and then the 14-inch turn 1 move. you know, you can kind of surprise people with that. You can get on objectives. You can kind of put a little bit of pressure on. I am actually really considering the new Gravis Captain that they sent out, or they released today, as a possible Death Company Captain. Because by my understanding with that new Gravis Captain, he's got a Boltstorm Gauntlet, he's got 5 attacks, right? So like he could be upgraded to have 6 attacks from the charge, 7 attacks from Savage Echoes, 8 attacks from like the Black Rage. You could Mastercraft his Gauntlet, so it's a 3 damage Gauntlet. You could give him the Death Vision that lets him reroll all his hits as long as he can see an enemy character on the battlefield. You could you also, if you've got a Chain Sword or a Power Fist, you can make an additional 3 attacks if it's a Chain Sword, additional 2 attacks if it's a Power Sword. So you're talking like 8 Power Fist attacks that do 3 damage, then like 2 Power Sword attacks or 3 Chain Fist attacks. And you could also take like Imperium Sword on him to give him an extra attack. So you could have 9 3 damage Power Fist attacks. You could reroll all your hits with your Death Vision. And for every 5 enemy models within 6 inches, you get +1 attack on that 3 damage Power Fist. I actually think that's kind of interesting. He's 6 power levels, so you would kind of want to strategic reserve him and just bring him in and hope for a sort of like that 8-inch rerollable charge, I think, because he's in Gravis armor. So I think there's 2 options with the Death Company Captain. You could put him on a bike. You could have him. You could take the Teeth of Terra. You could get like 10 attacks. You go around blending 2 wound infantry pretty easily. Or you could go with this Gravis Captain. Be in some ways he's almost like as much of a smash captain as we could ever make. You know. Like 9 attacks, 3 damage, rerolling all misses. Yeah, sure, it's a Power Fist, so you're -1 to hit, but I mean, you're still rerolling all misses. I suppose if you manage to combo it with like a tactical Quake Bolts, you could maybe hit on 2s, reroll all your misses. I'm kind of interested in this new Gravis Captain, honestly. If you're thinking about moving anywhere, Rumble or OZ, well, Patreon don't take much of a cut, but I guess Patreon's like an extra step, you know, like, whereas in YouTube, it's just like, people watch your videos on YouTube and they just click straight away and join as a member on the YouTube channel. So, like, I'm happy, I like having members on the YouTube channel. I think it looks good when other people come into the stream and see all the green names. The names aren't showing up as green tonight for some reason in my chat box, but maybe they're showing up. Are the member names showing up correctly in a different color for you guys, or are they not showing up? But no, I like having the members on YouTube because I think it shows the channel has some legitimacy, right? You know, when people come onto the channel and the chat and they see like a lot of members, they must be like, yeah, this guy must know what he's talking about a little bit, because why would all these people not be members if he didn't have a fucking clue, right? Burza is new to 40k. What would you consider a good starting point for a Blood Angels army? You mean like the first units to buy Burza, or what? To hit to wound, just sign up to Patreon. Thanks, buddy. That's super appreciated. I'm actually using one of the brushes you sent me to hit to wound. This is one of the synthetic brushes. I know this is a glaze brush, but like, I just like cheap and cheerful brushes when I'm doing my base coats, and you know that's essentially what I'm doing tonight. And you know what, when I was painting a land speeder earlier, I'm using another one of those synthetic brushes you sent me from Games Workshop, and I still have, Jeff, thank you so much for becoming a member. I still have a bag of brushes that you sent me. All these Citadel ones, the synthetic ones to hit to wounds. So thanks for becoming a member of the Patreon, and I appreciate the brushes, because I like cheap and cheerful brushes when I am just doing base coats. I really do. Have you ever tried blue stuff? I know that some people are against it, but personally I'd rather clone a bit over buying an entire box for one piece. There's a couple of websites in the UK. One's called like Bits and Kits, and you can buy like individual like power fists or swords or hammers. I haven't actually tried making my own molds ever. One of the guys I play with, Andrew, has a 3D printer, so like occasionally if I needed a gun or something, like he might 3D print me a gun. But no, there's a good website in the UK called Bits and Kits, and I guess that website, they literally just buy the boxes and then break them down and sell the individual bits. So that's a website I've used quite a bit to get like individual arms or thunder hammers or whatever it is I need. And I actually do a lot of, if I need stuff, I usually go to eBay as well. There's a lot of places in the UK as well that will like sell like 2 or 3 thunder hammers, and if you buy 2 or 3 at once, they'll like combine the postage. So you'll end up paying just like $1 or $2 and then like the same $1 or $2 postage. So no, I don't really make my own parts, but I do sometimes buy extra parts on eBay, or I guess convert them. And I guess like if you've got enough friends that play 40k, sometimes you can make some good trades, right? Like my friend Brett gave me like heaps of old Blood Angel stuff and Space Marine stuff because I guess he quit. He didn't quit playing. He decided to focus on Orcs, Chaos, and I think Brett plays a third army. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head, but he decided to focus on those 3 armies, so he gave me all his old Marine bits. And I mean, some of them are painted, but I would just spray over the top of them sometimes if someone's got some old pieces. Debating trying the new Gravis at incursion level, hesitant to use them at strike force. I think that new Gravis captain could be cool. Boom, Jeff, thank you for the boom. And thank you for being a member for 11 months, Jeff. It's super appreciated. 11 months starts to sound pretty crazy, actually, you know? Like, it seems like, wow, okay. We've been doing this for a while. Yeah, I don't know if eBay is... Does anyone... Do people in America sell parts on eBay, or is there any... Like, I guess the question is, right, let's say you buy a box and there's pieces that you want that you don't get, you know, you only get 1 thunder hammer in the box or something like that. I guess the question would be like, could it go the other way? Could you, because I'm sure if you went onto eBay and you sold all your spare parts, you'd probably make quite a lot of money, because like people are willing, like I'm willing to pay like $2 of Power Fist or something, you know, like if it means that I don't have to buy another whole box of models to get like 1 individual Power Fist. You need to get yourself a 3D printer. I just moved into a new house, and I kind of felt like I would have more space in this new house for hobby related stuff, and I don't know, I definitely don't have room for a 3D printer at the moment. We've only been moved in 2 months. Our garage is like a disaster zone. So maybe like, I think one of the things I was wanting to do first was like to buy a shed, so like all the garden tools and stuff wouldn't sit in the garage, and then maybe I could start using the garage for like either airbrush. Probably an airbrush. I probably prefer an airbrush over a 3D printer, because I've got a lot of backlog of models. Like, I don't need to be printing new models, I just need to finish what I've got. eBay takes a big cut, that's the issue, and you have to ship it. Yeah, I suppose that's true. Everybody needs their cut on everything these days, don't they? Good evening, Caring Commissar, how you doing? But yeah, does anyone had any big thoughts on Chapter Approved? I mean, Steel Rain has decided now that Death Company with Infernal Pistols may be an option, or are going to be an option. Are you still going to run 3 squads of Sangre Guard, Steel Rain? Are you going to run like 2 squads of Sangre Guard and 2 squads of Death Company? What's the plan? Good evening, Jax. How you doing? And Robert, yeah, one day. One day, I've been painting for hand long enough, I guess, right? I do enjoy painting by hand, though, you know that. Just a little bit slow, I guess. But yeah, so I reckon in the next... Well, it'll be within the next month, I think, that I will get to 1,000 subs. 1,000? 9,000 subs. And when we get to 9,000 subs, I guess there will be a Blood Angels specific painting competition. There'll be some rules. Like, I'll probably need you guys to send a model or a picture of the model with like your name written on a piece of paper inside the photo. So like we know it's yours and it's not just like somebody's deleted Google image search for like a cool model or taken a Games Workshop one or something. So there'll be a couple of rules, but I mean they should be pretty easy to get round. Or they should be pretty easy to follow, I guess would be a better way of saying it. And we'll have some pretty cool prizes thanks to Brett. Honestly, you can have your entire catalogue base coated in 1 or 2 hours. I have a lot of stuff base coated. It's just getting that. Base coating isn't the problem. When I started Black Reach was the beginning. Yes, everything used to be on 25s back then, Wado. Now everything's on 32s. You can buy pretty cool extenders on eBay again that will extend them from like 25 to 32 pretty cheaply, so but I mean it's still valid to play on the old size, but you kind of have an advantage if you're playing on the new size because it's just easier to I think you have a slight advantage because it's easier to have models like within other models auras and stuff like that. Excuse me. Black Rage is a thing, and with all the -1 chainswords attacks are better. I have to go down to 2 7-man squads for elites, but I'm running 10 Death Sword chainswords and Infernal Pistols and 5 Death Company with hammers. Okay. Did you magnetize all your Death Company, Steel Rain? You're well on top of things. Just got to my first Vanguard Vets and Death Company, plus a Blood Angels Chaplain. Personally, I think Death Company with all the attacks are massively competitive now. I guess we'll see. Do you know what? I have a lot of Death Company models, but not enough of them are painted to the standard that I like. Maybe I could run a 10-man Death Company on Monday. I don't know if it's a good. It's probably not a good list to run 10-man Death Company against because they run in and kill one. They kill one armiger and then they die, right? I do think that 3 damage weapons offset the -1 damage much better than 2 damage weapons do, though. Like 2 damage weapons just feel terrible against -1 damage, whereas like 3 damage weapons actually feel like decent against -1 damage, and 3 damage weapons feel decent against -1, and 3 damage weapons also are good against models that have like that half damage. Like the new Eldar avatar apparently is going to half incoming damage. Well, half of incoming damage is rounded up, right? So 3 damage Thunderhammer is still 2 damage. So Thunderhammers are actually pretty good against. Would love to see you play some different units. Yeah, I mean, maybe not against... I used to run Death Company every battle, Podger. Literally every battle. At the start of 9th edition, if you go watch the battle reports on the channel from a year ago, I ran Death Company in every single battle. It was only like... I'm trying to think when I stopped. I think it was when Vanguard Veterans with Lightning Claws came out, and the points cost to the Death Company in Vanguard Veterans was just too darn similar, and Lightning Claws and Storm Shields I thought were just like a lot better than Chainswords, and like a 6-up shrug, I guess, from the Death Company. Alright, I'm putting a quick second coat of Evil Sun on this land speeder just to make sure it's bright enough so you guys can see it. This thing couldn't be any brighter right now. Don't worry, it won't end. It won't remain this bright. Run Mythos for Unleash Rage, a 5-man Death Company with 4 hammers. I mean, if I was gonna run a 5-man Death Company with 4 hammers, I'd probably run like the Sanguinary Priest so that you can do the get them an Assault Doctor in nice and early. The Chapter Masters so you can reroll all their hits. Quake Bolts maybe so you can give them like +1 to hit as well. I mean, there's ways you can go crazy. I suppose if you did factor in Unleash Rage, like you said, there's ways you could really pump up those Death Company. The problem is on Monday night, I'm fighting a list that is 10 knights. So yeah, I mean, I think the Death Company would kill a knight, sure. Knights aren't -1 damage, so I don't necessarily... Like, Sanguinary Guard aren't that weak against knights, I guess, because they're not -1 damage or anything like that. But yeah, no, do you know what? Maybe after we get this land speeder in a good state, I'll paint some Death Company. I would like to have some Death Company with Infernal Pistols painted. I don't have any with Infernal Pistols painted. I have some with like axes painted because axes were strong like last edition, but I guess like I don't think power axes are all that good now, so like I wouldn't run power axes now, I guess. Massive Doom on Death Company is underrated. Oh yeah, because Massive Doom gives them the +1 to hit, does it? I guess I was gonna say the only thing about Massive Doom is do you have to just commanding oratory it to sort of guarantee it goes off Steel Rain, or do you just roll for the 3-up and hope, or do you commanding oratory it? I suppose it only costs 1 CP to commanding oratory it, right? Because Astaroth does have the... Does it cost 1... How many CP does it cost Astaroth to do commanding oratory, actually? I'm not sure. I can't remember if the CP reduction is part of the Wise Orator or the Master of Sanctity. I think it's part of the Wise Orator, isn't it? I couldn't tell you though. I really don't run chaplains all that much, I guess. Yeah, 1 kills a guy. 1 used to... Last edition, 1 used to just make you take a mortal wound, which I way prefer over just killing a guy. I think that's what put me off Massive Doom, because last edition it was just like you just took a mortal, and sometimes you could even shrug the mortal. But yeah, no, I mean, I would honestly, I would like to have more of my, like, I have about 30 Death Company models that are not painted, because I resprayed all my Death Company because my Death Company were painted by 13-year-old me, and 13-year-old me knew dick about painting. When I was 13, guys, there was literally no internet. I think we first got the internet when I was like 15. And there was no such thing as a hobby tutorial or anything like that. Like, I don't know if you remember the tutorials that they gave you back then, but there were no one told you to thin your paints ever. I just went to Games Workshop, bought the paints, and just fucking clarted it on. It was pretty horrific, honestly. You need Wiserator for the 1 CP strat. I just roll it and chance it. Okay, you just chance it. Ballsy. Alright, this is looking nice and bright. You definitely see this guy coming. John, do you still have half metal Death Company? I sold my childhood army and I wish I still had it. Yeah, I mean, I must have, let's say, 20 old metal Death Company, including the chaplain that was in that old metal box from like the early 90s, and then like 20 new ones. And a bunch of the metal ones were on the old 25mm bases. So I was in the process, last time I was looking at them, I was in the process of like moving them all onto like, using those base extenders and getting them all onto 32s. Just because I think it's better for Death Company to be on 32. You lucky lad, when I was 27 I got internet. Well, Peter, you're a little bit older than I am then. How are you finding running your assassin? Also, how many land speeders are you thinking of running? I'm thinking of running 2. I think I'm going to run a regular land speeder and a Cerberus. I don't own the Cerberus yet, so that's going to be one for payday next month. But I think the reason is the Cerberus you get outflanked for free essentially. So if you want to put like a squad of guys or a captain or a character or something into strategic reserve and a land speeder is 3 power level. That would be 1 CP, right? So like 1 land speeder and something else, either a squad of like assault intercessors or something into reserve for 1 CP. And then the Cerberus gets to be strategically reserved for free because it's got the outflank ability. So Venerable Dreadnought, John, I personally like it. How would you run it? I ran it this week, the Venerable Dreadnought Commissar. I ran it with a multi-melt, and I think the multi-melt is probably the right call, because it's nice and cheap and it can do good damage. I like the Venerable Dread overall. Will I continue to run them? I'm not entirely sure. I'm probably going to run it again this week though, and just give it a try out. I think it's a good option now that Redemptors have gone up in points. Full dread list ever. I don't know if I have enough dreadnoughts to do a full dread list. I certainly don't have enough painted dreadnoughts. Painted wise, I've got 2 Contemptors, a Leviathan, 3 Redemptors. I suppose when you talk about that, that's probably like, that's about 1200 points straight away. Librarian Dreadnought, I've got that painted as well, so that would be 1400 points. And then I'm painting that Contemptor, I mean, I could run all dreadnoughts, but no, what I'm playing this week is Andrew's 9, like his 9 knight army again. This time he's going to shoot the lightning locks with the right profile, though last time he did it he added 1 damage to them and he only won the game by 20 points. I kind of think I can win the game if he didn't add that +1 damage to all his shooting, so I guess we're going to find out this week. Bought the Blood Angels Combat Patrol. I built 5 Blood Angels Assault Intercessors just for fun. Nice. Zat Zority. I'm just going to call you Zat. But thanks for tuning in, Zat. How are you doing? I've plenty of success of Assault Terminators. I ran Assault Terminators on my list as well this week. I like them. How did I feel about the Assassin? I mean, the Assassin did really well against the Psyker in the Ultramarines list 2 weeks ago. Obviously, this week there was nothing that there was no Psychic for the Assassin to go after. But I don't think the Assassin's a bad pick. If you're trying to keep your points costs reasonably low, like your characters, like 100 points for an Assassin that can just shut down enemy psychic powers or assassinate an enemy psyker, I don't think it's bad. Is it better than Null Zone, I guess? That's going to be the $1 million question, because with the new Custodes rules, Blood Angel's gonna suck unless you have Null Zone against Custodes, right? So I just recently dropped my Null Zone Chief Librarian sort of guy because I felt like I might not need him as much, especially in like a meta where like Grey Knights and stuff are pretty strong, but like Grey Knights kind of got hit in chapter approved. Strike Sprods went up 2 points per model. Nemesis Dreadnoughts went up 10 points per model. So if we go back to that when I talked about like, so I lost at that top table of that tournament against a Grey Knights list. Well, like his list would have just gone up like 100 points. If that tournament was tomorrow rather than when we played it, his list went up 100 points because he was running like 5 Dreadnoughts and like, I think he actually had 3 strike squads, so his list actually went up over 100 points, 110 points. I had 1 Redemptor in my list, so my list only went up 10. So if we had to redo that battle tomorrow, he has to drop like 5 guys or a Dreadnought and then figure it out. So maybe Grey Knights aren't as scary as they were after chapter approved. They're definitely not quite as good, right? I mean, they definitely got hit a little bit. Null Zone is situational, but I've had Null Zone be very, very useful in tournament play, honestly, Commissar. I played against a Harlequin list, and the guy had like 6 jet bikes, and he put them all in a 3-up in Vun save, and I just jumped in and turned it off and wiped out the entire squad of jet bikes. Pretty much won the game. I wiped out the entire squad of jet bikes with just like my Blade Guard veterans, like a 5-man squad of Blade Guard veterans, and that pretty much just won the game because all the rest of my army went after one of his other squads of bikes, and he lost about 900 points of bikes in turn 1, and there was no coming back from him at that point. So Null Zone can be situational, but it also can be super strong against the right army. And yeah, you know, at that tournament, I think I went through like, obviously I played 5 games, and I think that was the only game I used Null Zone, but when you use it, it can be crazy useful. I think he'd actually maybe spent 3 CP as well to give like the big squad of jet bikes the 3-up and vulnerable save, and it was just like, no you don't, you know? I've also used Null Zone to kill Mortarion in turn 1 before, so I mean, that was useful too, right? Again, that probably won the game. Ironically, the Venerable Dreadnought kit doesn't come with the multi-melta. I did not know that. That is ironic. I think the problem with a lot of the old Space Marine units, including Vanguard veterans, is you're paying too much for the profile. New things are more point effective. I'd rather pay more points for more guns. Good evening, Two Scoops. How you doing? I think you've got a point, Steel Rain, that some of the older stuff is just... I don't know how they fix it, but some of it is just borderline too expensive, I guess, right? We've seen you take down Mortarion with Null Zone. Yeah, we have. Like I said, Null Zone is situational, but if you need it, you need it. And when you use it, it can sometimes turn an entire game. So I haven't disliked running the Assassin at all. I've actually quite liked it. I kind of wanted to keep running it. Will I run it again? I don't really want to tailor my list too much, like, because I'm fighting knights on Monday, right? But like, I don't want to just be like, oh, I know exactly what I'm fighting against, so I'm just going to tailor the list. I'm trying to build that all comers, all corners, all comers list that you guys talk about, where it's just going to be the next iteration of my tournament list. And I think there's 2 ways I can go on that, and I think it comes down to. I think it comes down to the Redemptor Dreadnoughts, because I think I'm probably going to bring back my Null Zone Librarian. I have a higher win rate, just in general, I think, when I have that Null Zone Librarian in my list. Yes, it kind of sucks against... yes, it kind of sucked against Grey Knights, but like I said, I think I need to write off that Grey Knights game. Which assassin would you use the 2 CP stratagem's shadow assignment to replace your selected assassin with one you would think better is? Would I use it, Willis? Yeah, I mean, if you've got all the assassins, 100% you should use it. I guess it depends on how many CP your list actually starts with, and if you feel like you're going to be CP starved. After you do like pre-game stratagems and stuff, I really don't like starting the game with like less than 6 CP. So I guess, like, I'm not including your turn 1 CP there. So like, when you get your first CP in turn 1, if you've got less than 7, I feel like you're just making the game quite a bit more difficult on yourself. Someone did mention that, like, in a land where engaging all fronts is much more difficult to score now, psychic interrogation is kind of interesting now. Because psychic interrogation does not need line of sight anymore, and it's 24 inches. But I mean, I guess that potentially means taking 2 psychers. But maybe it is a little bit more interesting than it was before, right? You assassinated Tigaris, which was classic. Yeah, I mean, do you know what though? Here's the thing, right? The assassin did assassinate Tigaris pretty easily, but like when Tigaris was casting stuff, even though he was within the 18 inches of my assassin, had -2 to casts, didn't really help much. You know, like, you never know what the enemy psyker is going to have, and Tigaris is a good example, right? Because he gets +1 to all his casts, and he can reroll all his casts as well, which is crazy. I mean, like, it just shows how fucking bad Mephiston is when Mephiston doesn't get +1 to any of his casts, and he can't reroll shit. But yeah, Tigaris can apparently do both. So like a -1 to cast from the assassin, you know, cancelling out is +1 essentially, or making it -1, because the -2 sort of cancels out the +1 and makes it these -1. So the -1 to cast with the rerolls, it felt like it made no difference. It felt like Tigaris was just still able to cast everything he needed to cast. It was just when the assassin finally was able to shoot him, she just shot him off the table, because her gun is kind of good. Her gun is just designed to kill psychers, right? And it's really strong against psychers. Chapter approved would have been 10,000% better if Blood Angels could get OBSEC assault squads as troops and Firstborn Marines drop 15 points per model. I really think Firstborn, I think Tactical Marines could have been 15 points per model 100%. I don't think Tactical Marines are good right now at all. Really, at all. Bolters are crap. Their number of attacks is crap. I don't get why they're only like 18 points. They need to be 15. Because the way you make a tactical squad strong is you add special weapons to it, and if you add special weapons to it, it instantly becomes more expensive than like a Primaris squad, and at that point you'd probably just rather have the Primaris squad, because having those defensive stratagems on your troops is super important if you want to win games, because sometimes it can be the difference between a 10 or 15 point swing if a single model can survive and hold an objective as a OBSEC troop, you know. You should try a smashy Librarian with Mastercrafted Axe, Imperium Sword, Null Zone, and Might of Heroes. He doesn't get enough attacks though, right? The Librarian. He only gets like 3 attacks. So I guess Imperium Sword gives him 4, Might of Heroes potentially, I suppose, gives him 5. And then you can't get anything that buffs your attacks from the Librarian's discipline, right? I suppose, yeah. He also has weapon skill of 3, which kind of sucks. Do you have your a Null Zone Librarian handy, always looking for ideas to base on other units? Yeah, you mean you just want to see infos? Justin says I love gold. That's from Austin Powers, right? The 3rd Austin Powers movie. God, I haven't seen that movie in like 20 years. I always wanted a 4th Austin Powers movie. I liked Austin Powers. It's like they're almost making rules to make the models we already own obsolete. Which is strange because Mephisto did get a new Primaris version of him, right? His Primaris version was a very lackluster upgrade from his firstborn version. Like, he got +1 attack, +1 wound, and nothing else changed. And that's why I've said before on stream, I'm a little scared if that's all they do for Commander Dante. If they want to make Dante Primaris, they give him +1 wound and +1 attack, I'm going to be so disappointed. But you know what? Like, at this point, I could believe that they could do it because it just feels like either they're not caring enough about Blood Angel stuff at the moment, or they just don't have someone on the team playing Blood Angels and learning what our strengths and weaknesses are. Because, like, if you've played Blood Angels in that last 6 months, you'll know that in any game, if in any turn the Sanguinary Guard are visible to the opponent, they will shoot them off the table. Like, that happens to me in every single game. If you ever leave Sanguinary Guard visible to the opponent in any way, shape, or form, it doesn't matter. They're only 2 wounds. They're only toughness 4. They'll just get hosed and they get killed. And quite often they get killed on, like, on stuff that's got a high enough AP where you don't get a good save. And at 32 points per model, with them dying like left, right, and center, like, that alone can, like, lose you games. And I've struggled with it in, like, a bunch of games where, like, I've had to throw other units in harm's way just as sort of distraction from the enemy for, like, hey, my Sanguinary Guard, because the Sanguinary Guard are so expensive for what they do. Yeah, okay, Foz, give me 1 second. I know exactly where he is. Yeah, I'm waiting on Primaris Sanguinary Guard too. Yeah, so this guy was a bit of a mismatch of lots of different pieces. So he actually is, he's the Red Corsairs Psyker, but I cut off this arm and put on a Sanguinary Guard sword. I also gave him Commander Dante's metal jump pack. That's why he's got, like, a penny on the bottom of him, because he keeps falling over because he's got an old Commander Dante metal jump pack on him. I cut the bit off his backpack and put the boots up here, and then this must be a Sanguinary Guard shoulder pad as well. So, I mean, he's not the prettiest or my best model, but kind of a little bit of a conversion. And I actually did a Librarian and Terminator armor as well, because I like the idea of the melter gun. And this guy used to have an axe, because this is the guy that you can buy with the axe. I cut the axe off and stuck on a Sanguinary Guard sword up here. This was like last edition when swords were better than axes before the new toughness 5 meta appeared. Didn't do the greatest job on those hazard stripes, honestly, but I mean, it is what it is. So I ran this guy for a little while, and then I moved to the firstborn one with the jump pack. The reason I liked this guy was because, I mean, just an extra wound and Terminator armor. I felt like it made him more survivable, and I mean, it does. He's the same points as the jump pack one, I think. He might actually... Yeah, I think he's the same points as the jump pack one. He might actually be cheaper, but yeah, I don't run the Terminator Librarian. Like, I don't run him ever now, I guess. But at the time, I thought it was a pretty interesting / good option. I got a whole Thousand Suns army just to paint and a shit ton of gold, says Justin. Do you know what? I've got 1,000 Suns to paint as well. I just don't know when I'm getting to them because my backlog of Blood Angels. I did a pile of shame video on the channel, let's say like probably over a year ago now, and like I had a quite big pile of shame then, and like I've been painting, you know, I paint every week. I paint like multiple times a week, and I don't know if my pile of shame is any smaller. Too bad no null zone on Librarian Dreadnought. Do you know what? At the start of 9th edition, before they released the Blood Angels Codex, you were actually allowed 2 scoops. Like right at the start of the edition, you were actually allowed to take Librarius powers on the Dreadnought before they released the Codex. That was fun times. That Librarian potentially gets 7 attacks at strength 8, D3 plus 1, reroll charge for null zone for 115 points. It's not bad when you put it like that. Weapon skill 3 makes me a little bit scared though. Like I've had the Librarian Dreadnought with like his 10 attacks on weapon skill 3 like completely fluff his roll and do like 2 hits or something. I think if you want a smash character, you need to have a way to do all your rerolls, or you maybe need to, or you need to have a ballistics weapon skill 2. Sorry. The key to reducing your pile of shame is to stop buying new models. Yeah, I mean, I know that. But I mean, it's hard, right, when they release new stuff all the time. Plus, I kind of went crazy when Indomitus came out and, like, bought a box and then went halves on another box. So I had a box and a half, and then I managed to trade the Necron half from my original box, so I ended up getting basically 3 sets of Indomitus. I basically got 3 Space Marine halves of Indomitus. And I think I've still got maybe like 20 Assault Intercessors on sprues that I'm not even... I'm waiting till they announce some sort of jump pack Primaris units, and then I'm going to convert those. If I can, I'll just buy jump packs for them or something. I just finished 3 squads of Assault Terminators 5 minutes ago. Gonna post it in the menu room. Nice. I mean, I put a bit of paint on my Assault Terminators because I do think Assault Terminators with Thunderhammers are better than Blade Guard Veterans right now. I think it's just the potential mobility that you can get from the Deep Strike and the Teleport Homer that makes them better. Well, also, I also think that the armor save is important as well. Like the fact that the Terminators, if you get them into cover, well, even if they're not in cover, they're on a 1-up save, so they can essentially sort of ignore -1 AP, which is certainly useful. I'm going to run Assault Terminators this week again. I'm benching my Blade Guard Veterans for an indeterminate amount of time. I don't dislike Blade Guard Veterans, but like they are just strength 5. There's a lot of stuff they start to struggle against. And I always thought Transhuman was really good, but in reality, usually when you play Transhuman, the enemy will still they'll still manage to overpower the squad, and then you end up just wasting the CP and the Transhuman gives you no value. So I'm not sure I'm spending points on If I'm going to use Transhuman now, I think I'm going to use it on like a troop squad or something to try and keep them alive and like hold a primary or get me extra points that way. I don't think I'm going to be doing Transhuman on Blade Guard. Lightning claws do work well with the -1 damage and all the transhumans flying about. Yeah, and I mean, you're right. Lightning claws do work well because you're only going to be wounding on 4s anyway if they're transhumaning their stuff. So the fact that you can reroll is nice. And the Terminators with lightning claws on the charge in turn 3 get 6 attacks each, right? Because you get 2 lightning claws on this, which I like as well. And if you do play Fury of the First, then they do hit on 2s, you know? So it's like you get a good amount of reliability out of those lightning claws, it feels like. Codex 2.0 Primaris jump pack. I mean, I'll believe it when I see it. I feel it. I feel it's weird. Like, have they ever done a 2.0 Codex before? Like, surely it's not going to be called Space Marine Codex 2. Like, it's gonna... You know, there's a lot of other Marine chapters that don't even have their 9th edition Codex yet, like Ultramarines seem like a good example. I'm sure there's others. Well, I mean, I've been... Here's the thing, though, Riziel, is I don't run a Sangre Priest. And maybe that's where our lists differentiate. You know, somebody in one of the comments sections today said to me, I think it was today, it was about the tier list. They said, I'm surprised you moved Blade Guards down because I run Blade Guards all the time, and with the Sanguinary Priest giving them the 6-up shrug and the revives, I find that they're very reliable. And I just replied and said, you know, that's a good point. I have not used a Sanguinary Priest now since Chapter Approved came out last year and they put him up 15 points. I have not used him. Or maybe I used him like 1 or 2 times and then decided that he was too expensive. I know I haven't used him since before September, because when me, Andrew, and Colin were going to that tournament in September's, and it was the triples tournament. So it was like you play as a team, so you're kind of trying to help each other with their lists to make sure your team's got the strongest list they could have. And I said to Andrew before that tournament, I was like, I kind of on the fence with the Sanguinary Priest. Like, I feel like the Tet Marine gives me more value. So obviously I had tried the Tet Marine before that, and Andrew just flat out said to me, he was like, yeah, I think the Tet Marine is better for you, keeping the Dreadnoughts alive and, you know, soul wardening the Dreadnoughts as well. So it's like if they try and psychic them down or they try and bomber them down, it was the tactic with Admech back then, you can kind of just hard counter that. And I was like, yeah, so I've been using the Tet Marine every game now since well, that tournament was like the first week in September, so it's probably since August I haven't run the Sanguinary Priest. So if I don't think Blade Guard veterans are strong, but you're running a Sanguinary Priest with the Blade Guard veterans and you're like, wow, my Blade Guard veterans survive every game, they're doing really well, then that's probably the difference. But I don't... I've thought a bunch of times about going back to the Sanguinary Priest, because I'm like, I like the Sanguinary Priest, how he puts you guys in Assault Doctrine early. Like, I genuinely think that's really strong and I like it. But I tried running the Sanguinary Priest like without Selfless Healer and I didn't think he was good. I tried running him without the Chief Apothecary upgrade. I think I made one without a jump pack as well, so I could, like, in desperation to try and keep the Sanguinary Priest's points cost down, but like I just couldn't get it to work for me, I guess. And then ever since then I've been stuck on this Dreadnought. You think he's S tier even without Selfless Healer? I guess, like, I don't know. The days of running triple attack bikes with a Sanguinary Priest are long gone, right? Like, and that was one of the things I really liked doing with him, and I also really like doing Centurions with him, but that's gone as well. I mean, sure you could run him with Sanguinary Guard and all that, but like, pretty much any time I need to make a shrug on a 6, I just don't make it. And I think that was why I probably started dropping him, because it's like, for whatever reason, if I need to do a shrug on a 6, I just never make those shrug rolls. Tech Marine doesn't keep anything alive. He heals. It's either not enough or not relevant. I disagree, man. The amount of times my Tech Marine has managed to put one of my Dreadnoughts back onto the full bracket has been like... It's been a lot of times. I've actually considered to call Bolo a drop pod with Death Company, a company champion, and some company veterans. I mean, that could work. I guess you almost want to put a chaplain in there to try and give yourself the canticle of hate and make your charges lower, and then it could work, Rilo. It just seems like it's a risky. It's risky. A drop pod is not S tier. Okay, hold on. We're gonna check out Camille's Terminators real quick. Thank you so much for the $5, Camille. Appreciate it. With the new secondaries requiring you to have 4 units in your deployment, 5 for Fallen Fury seems worth consideration. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's not a bad shout. Some of the new secondaries are going to be much harder to score now, yeah. So a drop pod and a bunch of units just dropping into the secondary straight away. Where am I? Let's check out some finished first, of course, Terminators are firstborn. I was going to say firstborn Terminators. That looks crazy yellow on my screen, actually. I have a filter on my screen. Hold on, let me see if I can turn it off. Nope. I just exit. Yeah, my screen is like filtered yellow because it's late at night, so reduced eye strain sort of thing. You've done a really good job of matching the box art, right? Can I see it bigger? Oh yeah, cool. How do people like Camille's Terminators? The blood drops are nice, the gems are nice, the eyes are pretty sick. I actually like I was going to say the double back shoulder is pretty cool as well. I need to pay more attention to the box art when I'm painting mine, because I usually just go with whatever I'm looking at and don't pay too much attention to the box art. But no, that's a damn fine job, Camille. Nice. Terrax drill. Yeah, do you know what? I could get on board with a Terrax drill full of stuff. I mean, I could get on board with a drop pod full of stuff, but Terrax is fun too, right? Are those the Blood Angels Terminators? They are 100% the Blood Angels Terminators, yeah. I wish I could paint that well, says 2 Scoops. Well, I mean, I probably wish I could paint that as well. I mean, what the thing about painting though is like, just keep practicing, right? How long you been painting, Camille? Have you considered the 2 Bastion 20s Devastator Centurion list I posted yesterday? I've not considered Devastator Centurions. If I was going to run Centurions, it would surely be Assault Centurions. I actually own Assault Centurions and I love them. If If I was going to run them, it would be like a Land Raider or something full of Assault Centurions. Maybe like a Land Raider Proteus, so it gets the invulnerable save. I think that could be a fun list, actually. Might not be super competitive, but it would be fun. Sam M coming in with a $10 Australian, I think. Got a $100 GW voucher. What should I get? I got a compliment Sang and I guess you mean Sangard and Death Company, Vanguard Vets and Blade Guard already, as well as the usual troop stuff and 2 Redemptor Dreadnoughts. Okay. I mean, I'd be tempted to think about a Whirlwind if you don't have a Whirlwind, because the Whirlwind does 2 great things, you know, like it prevents Overwatch and also prevents the enemy fighting first. Even if they charge you, they would have to fight after you, which can be huge for, like, if the enemy has like a really nasty monster that you know is going to be able to charge you at some point and it's going to wreck you. Making it fight last can be really important. It's kind of a tool that I bring to like almost every battle. Well, I do bring it to every battle. I know the Whirlwind doesn't do any damage, but it's a bit like that Null Zone that we talked about earlier. Like it's just a really useful tool to have. Then after that, I guess, like, if you don't have the Sangre Priest or the if you don't have the Sangre Priest or like a Primaris Tetmarine, both of these things are also great choices. And then after that, I mean, right now I'm painting a Landspeeder. I think Landspeeders are going to be pretty critical or pretty important in terms of if you want to score engage in all front points in this new edition. I think Landspeeders are going to be the attack bikes of the last year or something. I think we're going to see more Landspeeders. And even the Landspeeder Storm. I think I called it the Landspeeder Cerberus earlier. I think it's supposed to be the Landspeeder Storm. Sorry. Thank you so much for the $10, by the way, Sam. You have the Whirlwind as well? I was thinking Assault Terminators. Yeah, why not? Blood Angels Assault Terminators. If you don't have them, or even you could even get just regular Firstborn Terminators. And I like Relic Terminators a lot because Relic Terminators can obviously take Lightning Claws. But regular Terminators can take Chain Fists, which can be really useful if you know you're going to be coming up against vehicle-heavy lists. The Storm Bolters can also be pretty useful if you're coming up against like a lot of chaff units. I ran Firstborn Terminators on my last tournament list, and I ran them with Chain Fists and Storm Bolters, but like the Blood Angels Terminators with Storm Shields are really good as well. I mean, if you're going to run double Redemptor, or if you're going to run 2 of any Dreadnoughts, and 2 of any I guess the way to look at it is like a lot of people run 2 Dreadnoughts in a Blood Angels list. I would say like 80% of people run 2 Dreadnoughts. If we look at the tournament winning lists we've seen over the last year for Blood Angels, there's not been that many, but I think definitely at least 1 or 2 of them ran double Dreadnoughts, or I think one of them actually ran 3 Dreadnoughts. If you're gonna run 2 Dreadnoughts, then you're right on the borderline of like, hey, maybe you need a Tetmarine. But you can also go the other way. Personally, I don't think you'd run a Tetmarine and a Sangre Priest. I think you choose which of those 2 you want to go for, because it's like 2 really defensive sort of characters. I guess you could do both. The Primaris Tetmarine is pretty good though, right? Like he gets 8 attacks when you get charged, or when you charge, and like there's a good few useful things you can do with the Primaris Tetmarine, you know, because you can give him Quake Bolts. He's got that 24-inch bolter, Assault Forge bolter, I think it's called. And he can obviously advance and shoot, so he can gives him like a 30-odd inch range of Quake Bolts, and he's got ballistic skill of 2+ as well. So it gives you a reliable platform for Quake Bolts, which is like +1 to hit for any other unit that's going to end up fighting. And that's how we killed Gilliman like 2 weeks ago on the channel. Like the Tech Marine Quake bolted Gilliman, and then my Leviathan Dreadnought and the Tech Marine charged Gilliman. And if you actually think about it, a Leviathan Dreadnought and Tech Marine are like 60 points cheaper than Gilliman. And we actually killed him twice with that combo, right? Because Gilliman revived, because he revives on like a 2-up. And we killed him twice, I think. Oh, I think there was maybe a little bit of help at the end on the second death by some Sanguinary Guard, but they definitely killed him the first time, I'm sure. Land speeders have the missile strat too that could be useful. What missile strat? Sorry. Whirlwind are going to be clutching to new Tau. You don't want to charge a Riptide or a Storm Surge without one. Don't overlook the shot in awe from the land speeder. For a whole turn, enemy units are -1 to hit with shooting and melee. And that's within 6 inches, isn't it, Highland Phoenix? And doesn't shock and awe and disable Overwatch as well, right? Like, I know that I was saying that like I'm going to buy another... Should I be buying 2 more land speeders, or should I just... I was going to buy a Storm for sure, but do you think I should buy another... I think I should buy another one, like another one with just the multi-melta, so I've got 2 multi-melta ones and a Storm. Like, I'm going to need... Am I going to feel like I need to have 3 so I've got options, basically, I guess. Yeah, the one thing that I like as well about the Terminators though is like the redeploy. I think it's really cost effective, or I think 5 points for a potential redeploy with the teleporter homer is like, it's really good. I mean, like, it costs you 1 CP to do that on like Sanguinary Guard or Death Company, for example. If you could pay 5 points to do that, or like bring that with your Sanguinary Guard squad and not have to pay the CP for it, I feel like you would do it all day long. In my recent list, I put 2 land speeders with multi-meltas and a land speeder Storm in. And how did you find it? Yeah, I feel a little bit sad because I obviously did attack bikes. I feel a little bit glad that I didn't buy any Invader ETVs, because when we talked about Invader ETVs on the tier list 6 months ago, I was like, do you know what? I quite like Invader ETVs. And if I'd bought them, they would have the same problem as the attack bikes now. They don't have the vehicle keyword, so they're kind of useless. And here's something that was kind of overlooked maybe, like this week when I was thinking about the chapter approved stuff in the Outriders, I think just got worse, right? Like, one of the reasons, I guess, to take squads of Outriders, and I don't think Outriders are a good model at all. I've said this, like, pretty much exclusively for a year. I've said Outriders are trash. But I thought Outriders were... I thought when they were 135 points per squad, they were kind of okay, and then they put them up 5 points per model, and I was like, yeah, they're absolutely trash. I didn't think they were strong when they were 135 points for the squad. I thought they were kind of okay. So 150 points for the squad, I just think they're like kind of bad. But now with Engage on All Fronts, you require to have at least 3 models in a board quadrant. That means if you lose a single Outrider, all of a sudden that unit can no longer score Engage on All Fronts. And because Outriders can only ever be taken in squads of 3, you know, like, they don't have the option to be taken in squads of 4 or 5 or anything like that. It's just squads of 3. Then I guess, like, in my opinion, Outriders are... how is Invader ATV not a vehicle? Because it's a bike. And it has the bike keyword. I'm like 90% sure I went and read up on it after that. It needs to have the vehicle keyword, James, or it won't count for Engage on All Fronts. So attack bikes and Invader ATVs will not be able to ever score you Engage on All Fronts. Mobility wins games. Terminators aren't great, and teleport homers is just an excuse to think they're more mobile. Yeah, I mean, mobility does win games, but also, I mean, how... I don't know what the meta that you play like it is in Steel Rain, but the meta that I play in, there's so much stuff that just kills 2 damage Marines so quickly. I mean, it's all well to say, yeah, you can obscure the models, but you have to come out of obscuring positions at some point to charge stuff. And if you're ever left out in the open, i.e. a failed charge, or you kill the unit you're fighting and you don't manage to consolidate into cover and stuff like that, like, I just find 2 wound Marines just evaporate, and at least Terminators with a Storm Shield can stick around and be quite difficult to remove. I mean, in some ways that's what I was hoping Blade Guard Veterans would do for me. But, yeah, Blade Guard Veterans haven't really been performing for me. Outriders are a shit ton of attacks if you're the Assault Doctrine for only 3 models. It's not that many. It's like 21, I'm sure of it. Because I think it's like 7 on the Sergeant. And then it falls off. Like, if you don't kill the enemy, it's only 21 chainsword attacks. And it is 150 points. You think about a squad of Assault Intercessors and the Assault Doctrine at 95 points, they get 26. It's the same weapon. So Outriders, in my opinion, are just meh. Hey Marcus, thanks for popping in. Yeah, everything's good with the family. I appreciate you asking. I think I'd say we're completely out of the woods in terms of like all the health problems that my kid had. I mean, we're kind of monitoring him daily and like looking at him and like, is everything okay? But yeah, I want to say we feel like 90% confident that he's completely recovered from the surgery. But I don't know if he's excuse me. I don't know if he's completely recovered from the surgery, but it looks like he's recovered. Seems like he's getting on well. Excuse me, my throat is just. Thanks, Trevor. Appreciate you subscribing. Yeah, I guess I got a bit hoarse at the end of the stream the other night as well. I guess a little bit of a cold last week, so maybe I'm just a little bit hoarse. You're paying on board 250 points for a unit that's on the board for 3 turns. I mean, that's a good point, Steel Rain, but like, you say that. You know, like sometimes I find in games I hide Sangre Guard in a corner for 3 or 4 turns, so I actually don't think that's that much difference. I've won games where my Sangre Guard have hidden a building in a concealed position for 4 turns and then made a key charge on turn 5, right? I think the only, like, I like having a strong, durable unit that can go middle, I guess. And in the list, if we ever get back to a point where we were, like if Sangre Guard ever come back to like 30 points per model, and like the list that I enjoyed the most this edition, and I think it was the list that I never lost a game with. It was the list that had both the Blade Guard Veterans and the Centurions and the Sangre Priest going middle. And I like having a strong, like I like to take Oath of Moment and I like to go middle. And I think that quite often what happens is Blade Guard gets shot trying to get to middle, whereas Terminators can just deep strike down and charge whatever in the middle, or deep strike down and just land in the middle. So I guess it's playstyle related. If you guys don't like the Firstborn Terminators, I'm not going to tell you need to like them. Your call. I feel like they can do a job for me. I feel like they're doing a better job for me than the Blade Guard one doing. Even when I put the Blade Guard in the Impulsor is a fucking bullet magnet and it doesn't survive. So, and I feel reluctant to unload my Blade Guard from the Repulsor in turn 1. I know you can obviously move the Impulsor, like, what is it, like 14? unload the blade guard because it's the assault vehicle and then advance the blade guard, so you can get like a 24 inch move of the blade guard, I guess, in turn 1, like put them right in the center of the board and like try and hide them obscured or something like that. I know that's an option, but I feel like I don't like bringing them out of them transport and throwing them so far forward, sort of like exposed to a certain degree in turn 1. You gotta remember though, like, I don't only play against Andrew, but I play against Andrew who brings stupid meta lists every week. Like, Andrew doesn't bring balanced armies. Andrew brings whatever meta bullshit he thinks is the strongest of the strong. In some ways that's good for the channel, right? Because it's like you guys get to see, oh, Andrew's bringing like a super meta, like this list on paper, you know, like last week, the Custodes list. It's just like Andrew's bringing this disgustingly horrible strength, strong Custodes list. But like, what it does mean is like, I don't have the luxury of being like, oh, well, I can just, you know, I can bring this unit that's going to perform averagely, because like anything performs averagely, I'll just lose. Because Andrew just, I mean, Andrew, I don't want to say Andrew's got no skill. Andrew definitely has some skill at 40k, right? He knows all the rules, he plays the game a lot. But at the same time, like, he does try and like stack the deck in his favor by bringing the most broken, most powerful units. And like, he, you know, Andrew's gone to tournament, like that last tournament that we were just at. You know, he went to the tournament with 9 rocket trucks and 8 scrap jets or something. Enjoying a scotch after working on my motorcycle, really liking the paint along, says Snorri. Thank you, Snorri, it's very kind. You remember, you don't always have to charge out a deep strike, Rezio. If you can find a concealed position in turn 2 and just drop down center board and start scoring oath moment points, or drop down into a quarter and start scoring engage or relentless assault or something, you don't have to drop down into and try and charge. I mean, I think that's the thing that people forget sometimes. Sometimes it's okay to just drop down and just be there. And I did that in the tournament with the Terminators that I ran. Like, against the AdMech, in the AdMech game, I was getting shot. He had 2 20-man squads of Scutari, and they were just, anything they could see, they could destroy. Literally, they were just so much, because he would play like Wrath of Mars on them, and it was like auto-wounding on 5s, and he gets 60 shots or something. So yeah, I think it's also important to remember that you don't have to, if arriving from deep strike, you don't have to be arriving. You don't have to make a charge on the turn you arrive, right? With Fury of the First and Quake bolts and some Chaplain rerolls to hit, maybe with Canticle, you can charge anything out of deep strike and smash anything up to 20 wounds. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing that I like about... So I've been running Quake bolts, and I also quite like playing Fury of the First. So if you run Quake bolts and Fury of the First, you get Thunder Hammers that can hit on 2s, and yeah, those Terminators do have to potentially make a difficult charge, but you know, my plan for the Terminators doesn't always need to be go after the biggest, nastiest thing in the enemy army. It can be go middle and just hold and just score points and countercharge anything that you fight against. Things have been difficult for me the last couple of games though, because Andrew's lists have been, that Knight list has been horrific. That Custodes list is going to be horrific. I mean, I'm playing Knights again on Monday night, and like, against the firepower that those Knights have, nothing will stand up against them. Like, you have to be obscured or you're dead. I think it's as simple as that. Each one has like heavy 6. No, sorry, each one has heavy 12, with 6s bursting 2 additional hits, and they're like -2. And he can make half the shots 2 damage. When are we doing some wild turkey tasting? I guess when maybe we can do next weekend, Steel Rain. Like I said, I feel fine, but obviously with my throat going and shit, I must be just a little bit just not 100% at the moment, so hopefully next weekend. I think the problem we have right now, though, Reziel, is yes, charging stuff out of Deep Strike is unreliable. However, in certain games, if we don't try and charge out of Deep Strike, then we're just going to lose the game anyway. Our Codex isn't in a great position. Do you know what's funny is actually you say charging out of Deep Strike is unreliable. Last week against Andrew's Custodes, I had 3 charges out of Deep Strike. I passed all of them. And then the 6-inch charge that I had to make with my Sangre Guard, which I re-rolled, I failed. So, you know, yeah, I think it's good to fight those obnoxious lists. You know, in that GT Highland Phoenix, I played against a Speedwag Orcs list, and it was a super. It wasn't as obnoxious as Andrew's Speedwag Orcs list. Like it wasn't 9 of the same unit. It was like 3 scrapjets, 3 rocket trucks, 3 of the Meltatrikes, I forget what they're called. Boom jets or something. I forget what they're called. They basically have like a melta gun on them. Or maybe it's a bit like a multi-melta. And when they make an advanced roll, you can roll like a 2d6, and if you roll a certain number, they can redeploy in the same turn. What do you think is the best unit for Quake Bolts? Eliminators or the Tet Marine? Primaris Tet Marine. Yeah, I guess regular Tet Marine could do it as well, but the Primaris Tet Marine can advance and still do Quake Bolts. Yeah, so when I played that list, that orc list at that tournament, if I hadn't played against Andrew, like bringing that like super obnoxious, super powered orc list, I would have 100% lost the game. I basically deployed my Sangre Guard on the very, very back line, like 1 inch from the edge of the board, obscured, and he flew his Daka Jets. Oh, he had the Daka Jets as well, of course, because that was what was part of that list. He flew them like way the hell forward to like get line of sight on like my Redemptors and like try and whittle them down. Or I think it was my Contemptors actually. But because he flew them so far forward, I actually managed to heroically intervene with a Sangre Guard and like fuck up one of the Daka Jets and like he went first, so it was like kind of huge for me. Like before my first turn, I was able to get extra movement off the edge of the board from the Sangre Guard. But at the same time, like if I didn't play Andrew playing those super obnoxious orc lists, I would have probably 100% lost that game because I wouldn't have respected. You know, like we talk about those rocket trucks getting what is it like 2d6 shots each, strength 5 -3 if he calls the Speedwag 2 damage. So you know, like, do the math on that, right? And it's if you're within 18 inches, he gets an extra d6 shots. So on average, he gets like 21 shots, and that's an average roll. Like I've seen, you know, the guy had some decent rolls. He could get like 25, 26. So he gets 26 shots, hitting on 3s, I think it is, because they get +1 to hit from the grots. So 25, 26 shots, hitting on 3s, and they're -3 AP, 2 damage each. So you end up having to take like 12 or 30, maybe even like 15 saves at -3 on your Sangre Guard. And you could split the fire, so both squads of Sangre Guard would need to take like 8 -3 up saves. I mean, like, and each one is a dead Marine, you know, like, that was horrific. And like I said, if I hadn't played Andrew a bunch of times on that Speedwag list, like I would have lost that game because I would have just deployed. I would have deployed in cover, but I mean the cover doesn't help you when it's still -3. You know, like it's still it's 8 4-up saves on your Sanguinary Guard. You lose 4 Sanguinary Guard. You know, that's huge. That's 120 points, and that's just one 90-point rocket truck. You know, you get 3 of them. So yeah, playing against the broken stuff, I think is good to play against it, but at the same time, like it, sometimes it makes, I guess it means my experience or my thoughts on what's good and what's different is probably different what the normal people are seeing, because I'm assuming not many of you guys had to play lists that were like 9 rocket trucks and 8 scrapjets, and were just like, this is fucking stupid, I have to hide in the corner of the board. And this is one of the reasons that I think Terminators with Storm Shields, for example, are actually good, because anything else is dying on every field save is a dead model, and I only get to save on 4s even if I'm in cover. Whereas Terminators are 2 saves is a dead model, and I'm saving on 3s because I got a 0-up save in cover, right? Yeah, I think if you are going to rely heavily on Deep Strike, you want Canticle of Hate and rerolls. You're right, Island Phoenix. But I mean, how heavily, you know, like, is one squad of guys coming in from Deep Strike? 2 squads? Like, how many guys do you think you need to come in from Deep Strike before you decide that you need that in your list, I guess is the next question. Greetings, Nick. How you doing? I'm actually fixing to finish up in the next few minutes because I am probably going to have to go and take a baby from my wife. Because during the stream I've definitely heard some screaming. Null Zone. I mean, Null Zone isn't a huge gamble if you've got Chief Librarian. If you're not running Chief Librarian, I feel Null Zone is a big gamble. And like, I prefer not to have to gamble on Deep Strike charges 100%. But I don't think that we don't have that luxury at the moment. For example, if you come up against got any Death Company? Yeah, I have some Death Company. What do you mean by got any? Like, you want to know that I've got Death Company? I'm confused. If you come up against that orc, if you come up against any orc list that's got 3 rocket trucks in it now, like, I mean, I'd be interested to know the math, right? Like, on average, 21 shots, hitting on 3s, so they get 14 hits, wounding on 5, strength 5, so wounding on 3s again. So 10 saves at -3. Yeah, 9 or 10 saves at -3, and each one is a dead Marine. So those rocket trucks literally will kill any squad of Marines. Death Company, Sanguinary Guard, 10-man squad. They will, you know, they'll kill like 5 or 6 models. If you don't save well, it could be horrific. And you have to get to them because they'll do that every turn. So you're basically saying like a squad of rocket trucks can delete 200 points of Space Marine infantry every turn, and they can be screened out. How you get into them, Rezio? You need to Deep Strike charge them because he'll have. If he's sensible, he'll have stuff down to stop you jumping in, and you need 3 damage stuff, because if you only have 2 damage stuff, then you won't kill them because they've got ramshackle. So like a 8-man squad of Sanguinary Guard or something will, even if you shot them with Quake Bolts and you had the Sanguinary Guard in Assault Doctrine, let's say you shot them with Quake Bolts, you had the Sanguinary Guard in Assault Doctrine, say it's 40 attacks. So you hit like, let's say 30, would it be 32? Maybe 33, right? So you hit like 33 times, you're only wounding on 4s. So it's only 17 wounds, and then if you're using axes, sure, he's got no save, so you only kill 1 rocket truck. So 8-man squad of Sanguinary Guard. If he gets to shoot at you, you lose 5 of them. If you charge him, he only loses 1 rocket truck. Then he just falls back and shoots you again anyway. So like, I think there is situations where like Terminators with Deep Strike are actually valuable. No, yeah, not every time. It's the same as Null Zone, right? Like, not every time. But like in a tournament setting, you don't have the luxury of like not every time, right? You're just gonna run into someone that's got 8 rocket. Keep saying 8. You're gonna run into someone that's got 3 rocket trucks completely screened by Boer cavalry and all sorts of other nonsense that you're not going to be able to get to. So your only chance is trying to shoot out some sort of space to deep strike in a squad of guys. Can we see your death company? Yeah, I can. I'll show you my death company when I finish painting this little step thing, and then I'm going to call it for the night. I think the gamble is near all Blood Angels got left. How have we done at LVO? Apparently not well. Yeah, I mean, the thing at LVO is kind of... Well, I don't... No, there's not a single Blood Angels player that's managed to go 3-0, where there was like 15 Custodes players and about 10 Dukari players, and sure, there was a lot more of those lists, but I mean, that's just because those lists are in much better places than our lists right now, right? I mean, I'd love to not have to rely on Deep Strike. I know 8-inch rerollable charge is unreliable, but sometimes it's all we've got, right? I'd rather have a chance at winning the game than have no chance, I guess. And like, although it's unreliable, it can come off, and if you are using a squad of Terminators, then you just delete all the bikes in a single turn, and then you've got a game on your hand again, right? Have I used a fuel squad of Lightning Claw Terminators against big Necron blobs with rerolls and Fury? They shred the entire squad. I have not, but I've used Vanguard Veterans with Lightning Claws against Necrons, and they have been very good. I do like Lightning Claws. I haven't been running them for a little while because I started running 2 squads of Sanguinary Guard, but I mean, overall, I do like Lightning Claw, both on Vanguard Veterans and Terminators. The one reason I like them on Terminators as well, just because you can sort of take that second Lightning Claw without having to sacrifice your survivability, which obviously you can't do with the Van Vets, right? Let me grab a couple of Death Company models. I mean, I'm not the greatest painter, just so that you know before I show you these, Oscar. But yeah, I'm happy to show you happy to show you a few Death Company models. Justin's looked at the Tech Marine a lot. He seems really good. I mean, he can be. I like the Tech Marine a lot. Any advice for fighting Sisters of Battle? Those damn Repentia hit like a truck, and trading with them is terrible. You cannot trade with Repentia 40k warrior. Even if you kill them, they'll fight on death. You literally cannot trade with them. If you're fighting Sisters of Battle, you've got a tough call. You need to shoot the Repentia. You need to kill them in shooting. You need to have something in reserve that can come in, kill them. However you do it, I don't care. Even like the Whirlwind suppressing them won't help you because they can still fight on death. So Repentia, if they're coming out of a Rhino or something like that, then they're an absolute nightmare to deal with. But I think that Sisters of Battle are a difficult army to fight, even more so with a shitload of Repentia. And I think you just do not want... There's certain units you don't ever want to be in melee with. Repentia are one of them. You'll always trade down against them. They're only like 12 points a model or something. It's ridiculous. Let me grab a couple of Death Company. Alright, I got a bunch of Death Company to show you. An absolute bunch, so hopefully you like this. Hammer of Wrath for Apentia. Hammer of Wrath probably is actually good because that probably happens in a different phase, Steel Rain. Does Hammer of Wrath preventing them fighting on death? Alright, what have I got Death Company wise? I have my Death Company captain on a bike with the Teeth of Terra. This is an exceedingly long chainsword because it is the Teeth of Terra. I believe that I could take him off here. Or I thought I could. I think he isn't glued on the seat. But yeah, Death Company captain with 2 chainswords stuck together to make it a nice long Teeth of Terra. So I've got him. I guess he's got some sort of like storm shield stuck here as well to make give him some options. So Death Company captain on the bike with the Teeth of Terra. I have a Primaris Death Company Smash captain. So this guy is a Primaris model. He is actually using a helmet from those Ultramarines, the Vitrix guards. This is like he was using like a Reaver's arm here with a knife. I could have probably chopped that knife off, but like I just kept it. He's got a knife under his storm shield because why not? I mean, this guy isn't totally legal because there's no such thing as a Primaris jump captain yet, but I mean he's ready. I also have another Primaris jump captain who is a conversion as well. This guy was one of the first jump captains I ever made. So he's using a Deathwatch Thunderhammer, and he is using a Primaris body as well. He's using that special Chaplain's wings. There's a shield from Space Hulk, I think, and then he's got a Reaver helmet on because why not? I like Reaver helmets. And then I think he's got a Terminator shoulder pad here, and then a Death Company shoulder pad here. Every single piece of this guy is actually a different sprue. So this was a big conversion, but unfortunately I put him on the wrong base size. This guy's on a 40, I guess, and this guy's on a 30. So this guy is valid right now as just a jump captain. I've been using him as a, if I ever run like just a captain with a Thunderhammer like I did last edition, I was using him. But I guess this guy would be ready if they do a Primaris captain on a 40mm base with a jump pack and a Thunderhammer and a Storm Shield. He would be ready for that. Like I said, people said in chat they missed the 3d6 charge. I remember that fun. I also made a Sanguinary Priest Death Company, and this was before they removed weapon options for the Sanguinary Priest. So this was my Death Company Sanguinary Priest from last edition who had a Storm Bolter and a Power Sword, and they were valid last edition. And last edition, the Sanguinary Priest just gave you +1 strength. So +1 strength was really useful to the Death Company last edition. It made them strength 5, and then with the +1 to wound, it helped a lot. I then also did some Reavers in Death Company colors because I thought Reavers were going to be cool. Unfortunately, they never really got good rules, did they? But I made a bunch of Reavers in Death Company colors. They're there for if and when Reavers ever get good. And then regular Death Company Firstborn ones are just like, here's one with a beaky head. This guy's actually got a bolt gun because they changed the rules as well. You used to be able to have bolt guns. I'm not cutting these off. I'm just, if anyone asks, it's a bolt pistol because I guess they can only have bolt pistols and chainswords now. So I did this one. And then here's one with a Thunderhammer because we obviously know that we need to have some Thunderhammers. And like I said, I am the greatest painter. I do as much as I can, and my edge highlighting is pretty poor in general. I always end up going back and forth on it. But there's some Death Company. None of these models I have fielded in about a year. And this is why I get upset at the books and the rules and stuff. Those jump captains look awesome. Thank you. I used to run those jump captains in pretty much every list. Both of them sometimes. Last edition. Hammer of Wrath is the best option against things like Drukhari characters or sisters. but some of them get a 5-up shrug against it. Okay, yeah, it's midnight. I should have probably logged off by now. Thank you for being here tonight. Appreciate you watching. Obviously, we have some different opinions on what's good and what's not. I think the problem right now is not that our opinion's different. It's that I am grasping at straws because our rules for numerous things aren't as good as they should be. So until that gets fixed, you'll probably see me run stuff like Terminators or other things that you might not normally see. But like, I just want to win games. I just want to have a good, fun army and win games. The Army List show tomorrow will be at 9:30 UK time. So it's midnight now, so rewind the clock by 3 hours and add on 15 minutes. I might be up to 15 minutes late though for starting. It all depends on, like I said, my kids have the cold at the moment, so it all depends on when they go to sleep. So I'll catch you guys tomorrow night. Thank you so much for the donations tonight. Thank you for the new members. Thank you for the new Patreon. All very much appreciated. Hope you enjoyed the stream. I will see you guys tomorrow night for our Army List show. By the Blood are we made strong, brothers. Peace.